What's up, guys? Welcome back to another trade review, another day review. I made $646 today. I took two trades. I lost one and I won one. The one that I won, I got stopped in profit. So yeah, let's get into the review. So as you can see, coming into the day, this is the 8 o'clock candle. So I have it set right at open. You can see that we had swept this low from Tuesday in the early morning hours, and you can see we're also tapped in to a 4-hour gap. So if we drop to the 15, I want to see if price wants to, come and sweep all these highs, right? So that's what I'm looking for. And I want to take an entry somewhere in here. But we also have the sell side in case price wants to, come back. So this is what the 15 looks like. There's no gaps or anything. I mean, there's some like gaps up here, I guess. 5 minute, kind of the same thing. There's a gap here. So in order for me to, target a short, I want to see this gap get inversed and us displaced through here, given that we're sweeping this high. So let's keep this gap in mind. And you can see coming into open, here's a 5-minute gap, right? Coming into open, you can see that price ends up sweeping this internal high. Oops, sorry. Price sweeps this internal high as well as sweeps the high from London session. Now London high is here, but there's this high here. So we sweep this, and I want to see what price wants to do. So this is open. You can see that price immediately comes down. Now this would be a good entry. However, open happened 5 minutes ago, so I kind of still want to see what price wants to do. But you can see that, that could have been a short entry, but we keep coming down. We sweep out this low, but at this point, I'm kind of leaning short because we come down and we sweep out, or I guess the lows don't matter, but we inverse this gap with displacement. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I want to take a short, right? So I'm waiting for something to set up. I debated setting a limit on this set of fair value gaps, so I would have just literally got perfect fill. But I wanted to see what would happen. And price ends up coming up and sweeping out this high, and this becomes it becomes an SMT with GU, because if I go, let's say I go to GU. So if we look at GU, you can see that GU did not take this high, but Euro did, and then we immediately displaced lower. So here's where I tried short, and this is where I took my L, but you can see that, we have our SMT, our internal sweep, our change in state of delivery with displacement, and I wanted to just target a simple 2.9 to 3R, just to see if we wanted to, come back and sweep these lows. Now, looking back, this probably wasn't the best entry because, once again, similar to, I think yesterday it was, I based my entry off of opening price, where normally I would wait and see what happens. But you can see that, basically instantly stopped. But here's the thing. Once this happens, I realized that this price on GU comes down here, right? So we get the sweep here. This becomes an SMT because GU takes this low, but Euro does not. So at this point, we're displacing up, and I'm starting to think, what if we go long? 15 minute, let's check it out quick. If it wants to load, you can see that although we did have displacement down, we are starting to retrace back, and we have these new highs. We have London highs that did not get swept. We have Asia highs that did not get swept. And you can see that we swept Asia low and we swept London low. So now at this point, I'm looking for sweep of these highs and potentially coming all the way back to buy side over here. So if we drop to the 1 minute, now I'm bullish, and now I'm looking for longs because we have the SMT here, we have displacement. So this technically would be your original change in the state of delivery. And so now, I'm just waiting for an entry of sorts, and we have this big leg of fair value gaps. And so what I do is I set my limit. I think it was right here on this gap. So just in case we don't go all the way down to 50%, I don't want to be lagging in this move. So I place my entry here, or my limit, I should say, and I'm targeting all the way up to buy side over here. So let me move this around for you guys, make it easier to see. Buy sides here. This is Asia high, this is London high. So these two are my main draws, and GU is drawing to the same highs. So let's see what happens. Right, price comes down, fills me immediately, a good reaction. So now I'm waiting to see what price wants to do. And at this point, right when we took this high, GU had taken this high. So if we go here and we go back to GU, you can see that these highs got swept right about here, and Euro was still lagging. So I was a little bit hesitant to move my stop back to break even, just because I didn't know if price wanted to come down, if it wanted to go up. But I honestly had a feeling that Euro was going to play catch up, and possibly even beat out, GU. We had this bullish SMT, like I said, and there's just all this liquidity up here that's just sitting waiting to get swept. So I'm waiting. I don't even touch my stop. And then we end up coming up and sweeping this high. So then I move my stop to break even. And now here's the thing I really want to see. Once Asia gets swept, once London and Asia get swept, I want to see if price wants to go all the way up here, or if it wants to reject, and at which point I would take my profits. So you can see that price comes up and immediately huge down leg. So I think at this point I had moved my stop up to like here. And so I just wanted to be mindful in terms of if price goes down, I still, kind of break even on the day sort of thing. And so also, if we look, we can see that this 5-minute gap's holding. There's a new 5-minute gap, and I want to see if this 5-minute gap holds, or if it gets tapped into and pushes higher. I just want to see what's going to happen. Price starts to come back, then we end up tapping this gap, and we actually keep going up like this. And so I was actually in this play for a while, but I kept my stop around these areas just to keep in mind that this 5-minute gap might hold and might get tapped into. So my stop was somewhere in this range at this point, so I almost got stopped, but I didn't. Once we took this high, I moved my stop to these lows, and then you can see price kept going. We made new highs, and this is at the point where I started looking at the other side to see where price could potentially reverse. And I found this 5-minute bearish fair value gap. So I wanted to see if we would push through this or if it would reject. Another thing to note, GU had not taken Asia high. GU was rejecting. So I wanted to be sure that this was gonna, come up and not reject, because GU basically had no momentum. So I was just trying to keep my stop tight just in case. So if we keep going, we can see that price comes up, keeps going, and at this really close to hitting my TP. Now, quickly, something that I've been working on is timing my stops and placing my stops based on 5-minute structure, because a lot of times 1 minute will show that we're going to go down, but sometimes price will tap a 5-minute key area like a fair value gap or something, and it'll keep going up. And we're also so close to this liquidity, but so I wanted to see if this 5-minute gap held, and this technically could have been your 1-minute close. So you could have I could have taken profit on this close, because we had swept out the high, tapped into a key area, and we had to change the state of delivery to the downside. But instead decided to hold to see what would happen with this 5-minute gap. Now, what did happen is basically we got shit on. Price did come back a little bit, but then ultimately I set my stop at this low once price rebounded because I wanted to see it continue up. And I got stopped somewhere in this wick when we came back down. So honestly, I left a little bit more on the table than I would have liked to see, but this was my second trade. We ended up not sweeping this high. GU ended up not sweeping this high. So this whole move was an SMT. So I probably should have kept my stop tighter and exited up here or like on this candle, but it is what it is, you know, still green day. Um, so yeah, I mean, not a bad trading day. This was a better trade, very good setup in my opinion. Um, would have liked to see price move a little bit faster, but you know, take what you can get and you react to what price gives you. So overall, not a bad day today. Made like $646, I think. If you guys enjoy the content, feel free to like, subscribe. That's all I got for you today. See you.